Hello, welcome back to another episode on the Bird Real Estate Podcast Show. For the new viewers, I'm your host, Bruce Bird Jr., also known as Boss Man Bruce. As you know, on this platform, our goal is to educate, but just not to educate, but to motivate those that's looking to take that leap of faith, whether you work a 9 to 5, or you just want a side hustle, or you're trying to use your God-gifted talent, whatever that may be. This is the platform where you can learn and also get connected with other investors or other like-minded individuals. As I told you, I have a special treat. I will be bringing special guests that's personal acquaintance of mine, family, friends. And today we have a special treat. We have my uncle, Antonio Brooks. He's been in real estate for over 20 years. He's a father, he's a husband. He's actually one of my mentors, one of my greatest mentors. It's a blessing to have him on my platform to just share knowledge that he gives me, but now I get to share something that he gives me and plus more. So help me welcome Antonio Brooks.
Hey, man,
how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, man. You make me blush, man. All those kind words. Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on. Like you said, man, we family, we're friends, and I appreciate those kind words, man. It's always a blessing to talk to you, to be able to share things with you. And you teach me some things as well. Like, you're doing this podcast now. I don't have a podcast. I don't think I have anything really all that interesting for anybody to really want to have a podcast for me on every day. So I appreciate you taking that step, man, so you can, spread this information to other people. So it's always a blessing, man. So I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you. As you know, it's going to be a 3-part topic session. And the first part, what I want to get the viewers acquainted with you. Let them know who is Antonio Brooks. Who are you as a man? Not just the investor side, but as a man, who is Antonio Brooks?
Well, excuse me. Well, as you stated, man, I'm a father, 2, been married over 24 years, 25 years, been with this 27 years. I've been with this lady. So, like my background is in computers. Got my degrees in information technology. Got a couple of those. Got one in management as well. Started out in real estate on a whim, really. It was really my wife's dream to do it, and I just was assisting her. So we've been doing it for a while together. I'm a God-fearing individual. I always give the Most High His glory and His praise for anything that He's done for me, the things that He's already promised, things that He's already done. So everything I do, I try to keep Him at the forefront and treat people with kindness and respect and love, whether it's in my business or in my personal life.
I think as you go through things in life, I feel that we get a deeper connection with God, because every obstacle is really meant for us to have a deeper connection with God. And as you emphasize that, how you've been God fearing, and and I believe I could be wrong, and you can let me know. I believe as when you want to do stuff that's great in life, I think that takes a deeper connection with God. I think you experience a different God. Everybody has, but I feel when you want to do something great, as we know, read the Bible, people that did great things experience a different God that others didn't experience.
Yeah, man, it always said, the meek shall inherit the earth, right? So, When God wants to, God can use anybody. He can take the lowliest of the low, and the people that other folks are ignoring or don't think anything of, and he can exalt them to great heights. He's done it many times. But I think when you're dealing in business, and when you're dealing in your personal life, you always need to stay grounded in the fact that God is in control in everything that you do and everything that you get. It should come from the Most High. If you want to have any sustainable success with it, whether that's success in your business and your personal life, whether that's your finances or your social standing, your mental state. You got to stay grounded in the Lord, and and if you do those things, and you don't put anything above the Most High, no matter how successful you're trying to be, if you keep the God at the head of it, because you can't put anything above Him, because you're not supposed to have any gods but the Most High. And sometimes I think that we get kind of sidetracked pursuing success, and we spend all our time, talent, and treasure pursuing those things when we really should be spending our time, talent, and treasure seeking the Most High in His face and His glory, giving Him the glory. And then once you do those things, all those things will be opened up into you. So then and people that you deal with will recognize that. You know, and you just you have long lasting relationships because of how you treat those people.
I was telling a friend of mine today is that I don't recite the same prayers over, because it's like, for example, if I have a friend, a good friend, who I know that if I ask him for something, I'm gonna get it, or he know my needs, he's gonna be a genuine friend and give it to me. Same as God. God know that when they say that God will supply all your needs, He know your needs already. In whatever area in life that it's a need at, and as long as you got Him, and I say a relationship, not just a tragedy prayer, not just every now and then I see you every blue moon, and you got distant family members that you see every blue moon, that you like, they my family, but they distant, But when you have that, when you able to have that meeting with God, you know, uh, you know, your kids know that, okay, daddy's gonna feed me today. They're gonna wake up, they're gonna feed me. If we had the same mentality about God, we can experience, and we can have so much greater, we can have so much many more blessings because of the trust that we putting putting into Him.
Yeah, man. If we start talking about the Lord, man, we never gonna get onto the real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a forever conversation, but it's really not simply a fact of the matter, man, that people know the Lord, man. To be honest with you, it's really whether the Lord knows you. Because
Mm-hmm.
everybody know the Lord. Everybody say, "Well, I know the Lord." Everybody knows Satan. Right? But does the Lord know you? And do you have that relationship with Him where it's intimate? And not just one of those relationships where you just you go asking for things. We all ask for mercy, and we all ask for grace, we all ask for blessings, but we also need to ask the Lord for our chastisement, for the judgment of the Lord, so He can correct us. Because we think we're right all the time. We sometimes do wrong things, and we don't ask for correction. We ask for the Lord to bless us, but we also need the Lord to correct us so we can be stronger. And once you get that correction, and once you get that strength and that knowledge and that wisdom, then the rest of the things open up to you, because the Lord gives you that wisdom and that understanding. So and that comes across in your business dealings and how you treat people. And I mean, you don't get to be in business 5, 10, 15, 20 years treating people poorly. Your reputation and your name is really all that you have. And because all the other stuff, you know, belongs to the Lord. All these houses and all these financial systems and all these material things, they belong to the Lord anyway. We're just being stewards over it. And we're fortunate and blessed enough that He allows us to be watchers and stewards over the things that He placed in our care. So that's one of the things I always pray for, is I ask the Lord to let me be a good steward over the people and the places and the things that he put in my hands. And if you do that, whether you're starting out in business or when you've been in business 20 years, if you come to your business dealings and you put the Lord in the forefront of it, and you treat everything as if it's yours and if it's his, and then you watch over it, then you'll have longevity. You'll have good relationships with people 10, 15 years down the road. I got people that I can call I haven't spoken to in 5, 10 years, but when I call them, I can ask them and say, hey, I need you to do a job for me, and they'll do the job, no contract, no anything. They know my word is going to be good with them, right? And I'm gonna pay them, and I do contracts, but my contracts are for other people. They're not for me. They're for them, because I need to keep them honest. I need to keep them, their memory straight. But when I shake your hand, that's a contract. It's a deal. It's just the way it is. But because of the society that we live in, we got to put things on paper.
So my next question for you before we get to the next topic is what are your personal strengths?
Man, one of the things, it's a few things really. Um, I'd like to treat people with kindness and respect. I think that's one of the strongest things, and one of my strongest strengths. I like to give them love. I like to give them honor. Because if you do that, and you respect people, right, and your relationship is built on mutual respect, then you got everything that you need in a good relationship, whether that's a business relationship or a personal relationship. You can't go around always trying to succeed at the detriment of other people. You have to create win-win relationships, right? Everybody has to win, and if everybody wins, there are no losers. And if there's no losers, there's no bitterness. If there's no bitterness, there's no enemies, right? So you have to. I try to build my relationships and my business on good relationships. I will let I was just talking to a lady today, one of the places, and we were going back and forth on some things, and I was telling her my whole thing is I don't look for people who are perfect. I look for people who are excellent, right? I want excellent relationships, not perfect relationships, because that's impossible to obtain. And when you're dealing with, say, for example, a landlord-tenant relationship, the tenant is always at a disadvantage, right? Because the landlord can check them out, but nobody can check out the tenant can't check out the landlord, whether it's going to be a good landlord or not, right? So they're at a disadvantage. So we have to do all this checking, and we have to do all this cross-checking, and when it really all comes down to it, it all goes back to what we just talked about, which is respect, kindness, and respect. If we are kind to one another and we respect one another, I respect that what you're trying to do as a tenant, and if you respect what I'm trying to do as a landlord, then we're going to have good relationships. And we don't have to be perfect, because I'm not perfect. I'm going to make many mistakes as a landlord, you know. So, I'm not expecting you to do something that I can't do, but I do expect us to have an excellent relationship, even though it's not perfect.
Okay. My next question, my last question for this topic is, what do you love about life?
What do I love about life?
Yes.
Living. you know, uh, I can't say, man, that. Oh man, that's a hard question, man. If I had to answer that question, and then you put me on the spot to answer that question, I love the fact that the Lord gives me another opportunity to correct me, to correct my life, to correct myself. When you wake up in the morning, first of all, there's no guarantee that you're going to wake up in the morning. And when you wake up and you can get out of bed under your own steam and your feet hit that floor under your own might, right? That's a blessing. And that right there, you're supposed to give God that glory. you know, and if you can move about and you got some things to do that day, you got a job, you got a business, you got family, you got friends, you got your reasonable portion of your right mind. I mean, those are things that you need to love about life. And the fact that the Lord was gracious enough to give you another opportunity to be right and to be righteous, right? Because at the end of the day, none of this stuff means anything. None of these houses, none of this property, none of this money, none of these things that we see mean anything. I mean, it's really about our salvation, our end of life salvation. Now, I know some people may not believe that, and some people may disagree with me, but you know, this body that we're in is temporal. It's carnal. It's going to pass away, and there's a whole another life that we have to answer for. So, if the Lord grants us another day to live, and He grants us another day to even go through sickness, just so we can have an opportunity to get ourselves right, that's a blessing. It's not just to accumulate wealth. Lord don't need our wealth. He got a cattle on 1,000 hills, right? He don't need us to go out here and conquer the world. He needs us to go out here and live right and righteously, right? So those are the things that I cherish, about life and living. I mean, and everybody has to work out, their own salvation with whoever they consider their God. I consider a higher Shah higher my God, the God of the Hebrews, the Israelites. So that's who I worship, and that's who I pray to, and whenever He gives me an opportunity, I want to give Him that glory.
That's powerful. That's powerful. You really give some wisdom. Getting a lot of wisdom. We about to jump to the next topic, and the next topic is about the core of your business. We about to jump into real estate. So my question about real estate is, why did you get started in real estate? What's your why?
Man, when I was a little kid, right, I was probably about 9 years old, right, and it was just me and my mom, my brother, right, and there was no father around. We had father figures and things like that, uncles and strong father figures that came across, but there was no father there, right? So my mom struggled. She struggled to raise two boys, and as we got older and started eating more, she struggled more. That's just the way it went, right? So we moved into this apartment complex on Taylor. It was a 6 family, and we saw our landlord one time. I remember seeing him one time, right around the time that we moved in. Older white guy. Never came to fix anything. I don't think he ever seen anybody out for maintenance, anything like that. And the place needed some repairs, right? And when I got older, I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that he treated us. We were poor and everything, and when everybody around you is in the same boat, it doesn't, there's nothing extravagant about it. It's all normal, right? But as you get older and you look back over it, you realize that there are some holes and some gaps in there, right? That needed to be filled. And I didn't like the fact that there were people out there doing that to other people, right? And so when I got into real estate, I made it my business to build a good business that catered to people that were in need. I don't cater to rich people. I don't cater to people that's well to do. I cater to people that's barely holding on, that's barely making it, and that need a good place to live, right? The good people, but they just need somebody to give them a chance, give them a hustle, give them. So when I got into real estate, I didn't really get into it for the money. I mean, money is things that we need to run a business, to live on and survive. But I didn't get into it to get rich. You know, I got into it because people needed some help, and the money was just a byproduct of me being able to support the business, right? So that's what I do. I give people decent places to live at a reasonable price. I make sure there's no holes in the walls, there's no rats and roaches in my buildings, there's no leaks, there's no busted wires, and I don't put used appliances in my place. When I renovate them, I renovate them as if I would put my family there, right? So because everybody deserves a decent place to live, and I don't want people to stay with me forever, but they most certainly can. And I'd like to use I like for them to use me as a springboard. You come home, you got a good place to live, it's peaceful enjoyment. You can come home, you can relax, you don't have to worry about things breaking, and not being repaired. And when you call me, I'm gonna pick up the phone. Right. So those are some of the things that I use as my why. Why I take my family through these troubles. Why do I struggle with people in this lower income bracket? Why is because I care about them. Why is because I love them. Why is because they're God's children. Why is because they need some help. Those are my whys.
Interesting. So how did you get started in real estate?
I got started in real estate on a whim, really. It wasn't really my dream. It was my wife's dream. I was getting ready to start I told you I got a couple of computer degrees, right? And I was getting ready to start a consulting company. Had the paperwork in my hand and everything, right? I'm going down to file it. I'm ready. I got my tax ID number, everything. I'm ready to open up this company. And she was watching. Oh man, people probably don't remember this name, man, but it was Carton Sheets, right? And he started talking about other people's money, other people's time, other people's talent, other people's treasure. And he was selling cassette tapes. This is how old is this? How far back it was, man. He was selling these cassette tapes for like $600 or something for this, pack of 25, 30 tapes. And we we bought it. Mia said she said she wanted to do it, so we went half in on it. We weren't even married at the time. We probably might have been engaged or something, or might have just been dating, but she just kind of wanted to look into it, so I just went half on it. So I put my real estate, my consulting business on the side, and I jumped into it with her. And then she was finding deals and things like that. And then I would go out there and make sure they were fixed up, put people in them, run them, and things like that. So that's kind of how I got started in it. You know, she since pulled away, started doing other things when we started having family and things like that. So I've been running it by myself for almost the better part. I think she hoodwinked me, man. She got me in and then she pulled away. So I think I've been running it other 20 some years, 24, 25 years I've been doing. I think I've been running 22 years by myself. So I think she got me on that one.
That's good. That's good to have a spouse that's supportive and dream like you. That's unique because you really don't find that, in a lot of relationships. So that's a blessing itself, like you said. Once we understand, sometimes we can overlook a blessing right in front of us. Sometimes, and that's definitely a blessing.
It
So
is.
how did go ahead, my fault. Go ahead.
I mean, I won't say
Okay.
anything.
How did you do it? Did you do like your first property you purchased? How did you do it? Did you get a mortgage? Did you have money saved up? How did you do it?
Credit cards.
Mm.
I think I financed that. I think I financed that first one partially on credit cards. All right. Uh, like I said, I was using other people's money. Right. When you don't have um, good credit, or when you don't have access to capital, it's easy to get credit cards, even if the credit card interest is high, right? 20, 30%, it's ridiculous. But if you need money to put down and you don't have it, where do you get it from? At that time, when I got started in 99, uh, they can give you these convenience checks. And you just go write a convenience check and you put it up and boom, there you go. That's your down payment. Now, once you get a property, however you get it, whether you pay cash for a little cheap property, or you finance it with credit cards or convenience checks, some short-term money that's really, really expensive, because short-term money is always expensive. So when you finance it that way and you own that property, you can always turn around and put a mortgage on it. And it's easier to put a mortgage on something that you already own than it is to qualify for a mortgage in the first place, right? Because you already own it, right? And all they're going to do is say, okay, well, it's worth, $100,000 or worth $50,000. Let's be realistic. When you're getting started, you're probably not buying $100,000 properties. You're probably going to be in the $25,000 to $40,000 range. So when you go get a house for $40,000 and $35,000 is the threshold for the bank for them to make any reasonable, money off of the mortgage, they're gonna say, okay, out of that 35, I'm willing to loan 70% of that, right? So okay, cool. You don't owe anybody because you financed it out of your savings or credit cards or whatever. Only thing you have to do then is pay off the credit card, because to the bank, it looks like there's no mortgage on it. And there's no mortgage on it because you paid cash. You wrote a check. You owe credit, but you don't owe a mortgage. So when the bank look at it, this house is free and clear. So they say, well, it's 40,000. I'll give you 70% of that. 80% of that, whatever they loan, whatever they give out, boom, there you go. You put a mortgage on it. Take that money, pay off the credit card, do it again. Right? Or you take it and sell it for profit. So that's how you get started when you don't have any, family and friends and capital. People always want to say, go ask your family, go ask your friends. Well, they ain't got no money, right? Go ask a doctor, go ask your dentist if they're willing to invest. Nobody's going to invest in your business when you don't have a proven track record. Nobody's putting their money at risk. It's all on you to figure out how you're going to finance your startup costs. And the fastest and easiest way to do it is to use credit cards. It's really just that simple.
So my next question is, what was the feeling on buying your first rental property?
Terror. I was afraid. I was scared, man. And day before, I looked at this thing, I ran the numbers, one of the things that I do, excuse me, one of the things that I do well is I crunch numbers, right? And I look at a situation from every which way to Sunday, and I play out different scenarios. I say, what's my exit strategy? Exit strategy is plotted out before the entry strategy, because anybody can go out there and pull the trigger. How do you get out of the deal? How do you, if the thing goes bad? And people always say, oh, it's going to go great. No, it could go bad. If it goes bad, what are my options? How do I get out of the deal if it goes bad? Okay, well, I can sell it. I can rent it. I can, maybe I can, try to wholesale it if I really don't want to get into the deal, but I'm obligated. Maybe I can, I got all the different scenarios. Maybe I can do shared housing. Maybe I can do a co-op, so whatever, right? How do I get out of a deal? That's more important than getting into the deal, right? So when I was looking at the first property, I'm looking at all these different scenarios about how it could go wrong. Because if it goes right, there's no problem. Everybody wants to go right. It's blue skies and rainbows if it goes right. But if it goes bad, it's all storm clouds and lightning, thunder and lightning. Your world is falling apart because this is your first one. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know that contractors are probably going to beat you. You don't know where to go to get the best prices on materials. You have no idea. So it's terrifying. It's very fear. You're very afraid. And people who say they're not afraid or either foolish or ignorant, because it's a terrifying ordeal. You're putting your money at risk, money that you may not have, more than likely don't have. So when you're looking at a new situation and you're trying to break through something new, it's always terrifying. And I was scared, and it was a little bitty house. It was like 3-bedroom little house, probably about 1,000 something square feet, right? And the day before the deal went through, I called the real estate agent and said, hey man, I need to get out of this thing. I don't want to do it. I need to go look at it again. And he, old real estate guy, Dave McMullen, get me through a lot of hard times, a lot of trying times, a lot of wisdom in this guy. And he says to me, he said, "Hey, did you look at the numbers? Did you run the numbers?" I said, "Yeah." He said that the numbers make sense. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you afford it?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Then what you worried about?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, cool, cool." So he talked me off the cliff, but because I was getting ready to fail. I mean, I'm looking for the exit, man. I'm like, my stomach is in knots, and I'm terrified, and I never done one of these before. Like my family don't have the money. If I go, I was terrified, man.
Mm.
So, but it took an older guy with a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom to calm me down, talk me off that cliff. And the Bible talks about that. It said when you want to know something, you got to find the gray haired people in the room, the gray haired gentlemen in the room, people who've been through some things. Those are the ones that'll help you because you don't understand what you're about to get yourself into. And they'll talk you off those cliffs.
And my next question, what's one of the worst things of being a landlord that you experience?
Oh man. Man, that's a long list. And if I start telling stories, man, people may come looking for me.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, it's a situation, man. The hardest thing about being a landlord is that you really don't know who you're going to get, right? And there's some unscrupulous people out there, and just because you come to them with love and kindness and respect, don't mean that's how they're gonna come to you, and they try to take your kindness for weakness. And I tell people all the time, just because I don't want to fight you, don't mean I don't know how to fight you. I can tear your life apart, you know. But I don't want to tear your life apart. I didn't get into this business, like I said earlier. I didn't get in this business to hurt people. I got in the business to help people. But people to come to you and they say they blessed and highly favored, and then they come around very next sentence and curse you out, right? They go up and down the street trying to start, confederacies against you, uh, and say your name is bad, but these very same people are the very same people that you gave a deal to when they came through the door. I had some individuals, just lying on me up and down the street. But when you came to me, you had no money, you had nowhere to go. You came to me under the cover of darkness. You was homeless. I let you move in for free, and you blasted me like I have no like I never did anything for you. It used to bother me, when I was younger. And like people breaking into places or tenants, tearing up things or treating you bad or talking about you poorly. But as I got older and I got more mature in the real estate business, I got more mature in my faith. You realize this all belongs to the Lord anyway, right? And eventually, everything that was built is going to get destroyed. So when you come into the realization that none of this belongs to you anyway, you're just a steward over it. You have a sense of peace that comes over you, and there's nothing that a tenant can say, and there's nothing that inspector can say that's going to hurt you. I mean, it doesn't even hurt my feelings anymore. You can curse me out to my face. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Doesn't change my life, not one bit. It's not like you can report me to my boss, right? So, I mean, say anything you want to say, I'm not gonna get fired. I mean, okay, so whatever. So, but you can't let that stuff change you. You can't let that stuff get into your spirit. You can't let that stuff get into your mind, into your heart, into your soul, because people are just unscrupulous at times. No matter what you do, what you do to them, what you do for them. Some of these people are just not good people. And as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, and you want to have 24 or 25 years of longevity.
That's wisdom right there. My next question is, how many properties had you accumulated, you know, um, over the years? Meaning units have you accumulated over the years in real estate?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, you got
Yeah,
to.
I ain't going to say that question on public forum.
Okay.
But it was enough to sustain me, you know. And when I was early on, I was in real estate when 9/11 happened, and and I really didn't need to be working, but I was working at the time because I was trying to get somewhere.
Mhm.
And and you need only as much as you need. some people want to conquer the world. They want, like, I want 1,000 properties. I want, get 1,000 properties, you got 1,000 headaches, I promise you. And some people just want enough to sustain their life. And I think everybody, I don't care who you are, needs at least one, maybe two properties, right? Make it at a 2-family or a 4-family, 3-family, something like that. Because when times get hard like they are now, right? You got something. When your job is closing up, when they trying to walk you out the door because your boss is acting a fool on your job, you can sit back and say, you know what? I got me four people paying me. They pay me, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, right? That's $4,000. Okay, do I really need to be at this job? No, I'm at this job because I want to be, not because I have to be. And and I think when young people, start out, I think everybody want to buy a house and everybody want to, showboat and have fancy car, but your first investment should be your first purchase should be an investment property, because that investment property will fund everything you trying to do in your dreams, right? You gotta let your dreams, right? You gotta let your investment fund your dreams, right? You can't be dreaming about investments. You gotta be, you gotta dream impossible dreams, really. And you gotta take that and you gotta let that fund everything that you want, instead of always coming out your pocket. I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work. Get in this rat race, 9 to 5, right? But if you got something that's coming in that nobody can control but you can sit back in your job like, I don't need this job. I'm here because I want to be, and they can't hurt you. No job can hurt you when you can go out of here and still feed your family, right? That job becomes secondary to what you really got going on. And I think everybody needs to have that freedom.
So I got a question. So, real estate. What do you feel about? I know me, you have discussions before, off, the platforms like that. What do you feel about apartment buildings? Do you feel that it's lucrative? Have you ever thought about getting an apartment building or anything of that nature before? I know you've been in real estate for over 20 years. So
Yeah, I think all real estate is lucrative. Or said, let me rephrase that. I think all real estate can be lucrative, right? Depends on how you get into it. Depends on what you do with it, right? Apartment complex can be lucrative or they could be the worst thing on the planet for you. It all depends on who you are and how you deal as an individual, right? What is your goal? What is your purpose? Right? There's money and prosperity in everything that we have, that God has granted us, right? It really comes down to, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to buy an apartment complex and run it into the ground? Or are you going to dog the people that's already there? Or are you focusing on the money, right? If you focus on the money, you chase the money is always going to elude you. It's always going to run away, right? When people start a business, like they start a law firm business, they can't really focus on, being, focus on the money for being a good lawyer.